hearing the client saying, thank you, oh my gosh, thank you so much, that to me is why I went into family law and doing what I'm doing. Because like I said, being empathetic or sympathetic to family situations is one thing, but also having the power and empowering them to take a different direction in life is something that I wanted to do, being an advocate for families.
Today, you're going to learn how Kristen Goss, a South Florida family lawyer, manages it all, a growing firm, a family, a nonprofit. And then you're also going to hear how Kristen has built a marketing strategy and a growth strategy around her ideal client avatar. So let's get into it. Hey, Kristen, good to see you. Thanks for joining me today.
Thank you, Ashley. I really, really appreciate your time and thank you for having me.
Yeah, likewise. So let's start from the top. Tell everybody who you are. What do you do?
Okay. So hi, everyone. I'm Kristen Goss. I am so many things. I am a human being, right? But I'm a family law and estate planning attorney. I am a mother of 3 girls. I am a wife. My husband and I have been married for over 17 years. And I am from South Florida, born and raised in Fort Lauderdale. I lived one place, I guess, for law school, and that was in Michigan, Lansing, Michigan. Brutally cold, but people are so nice in the Midwest. But I am now been back and have been on my own for 9 years. June of 2016 is when I went on my own. Prior to that, I was working for someone else. So that's a little bit about me.
Yeah, you're a lot of things. And I like that you started off by saying that. And I want to certainly dive into that because I think there's many people who are watching more so than not that are more than just this thing, more than a lawyer, right? They're the complex, the beautiful thing about how we're created as human beings. We're so many different things. So as a lawyer who's a mom of 3, I know you're great. You have great deals of involvement in your community and nonprofit. And you have, from what I've gotten to know you, Kristen, you have such a great heart for wanting to help people. I'm going to tie in multiple questions here. Where did that passion for helping others come from? Not just your nonprofit work, but that probably led you to being a lawyer too, right? Where did that come from?
That's a great question. So may they rest in peace, but I would have to say definitely my parents. My mom, she was a social worker, and I would equate her to Mother Teresa, not because she was my mom, but she was just such a good person, so kind, so loving, so empathetic. And she would give the shirt off her back and wanted to help everyone. And my father, he was a pastor, so I observed both of them helping families from a very early age. And I knew from a very early age that I wanted to help families as well. But that, I guess, military, my mom was in the military. She was in the Air Force and had a very structured life. And I like rules, policies, procedures. So family law is what made sense. And the name of my firm, KWG Family Legal and Mediation Services, is a tribute to my parents because unfortunately both of them passed. My mom in 2010 and my dad in 2014. I started my firm in 2016, but KWG stands for Kristen Walker Goss, Walker being my maiden name, for their legacy, because despite, and even though they're not here any longer, their legacy continues. So
what a strong legacy. Yeah. The social worker, pastor, military component. And I think that was one of our initial conversations. My parents are pastors as well, they just retired. And that really influences so much of your life and who you are growing up. I'm sure it sounds like similar to you. Every holiday, still to this day, is just kind of some random individuals who their partner may have just passed and my mom doesn't want them to be alone. Just yesterday, my mom sent me a GoFundMe she created for someone. And I was like, Mom, who is this? What are we doing? But that really influences your heart and kind of how you see the world, right? So why the legal route as opposed to maybe social work or maybe joining and supporting your government or your country or being a pastor, being a missionary? You had all of these different routes. Why this route?
Great question. So as a PK, I'm sure you could probably understand where I'm coming from. From that perspective, it was very admirable of my dad, and he didn't get paid. He had a regular job. He worked for the Broward County School Board. He was over their maintenance division until he retired. So he didn't get paid to be a pastor, but it was out of the heart and the love that he had for people. But it was, of course, I was not in his shoes, but I just, from the outside looking in, it was a lot. And so I never wanted to take on a role of being a pastor or a pastor's wife or anything like that. You know, if that's the direction that God sees fit later on, you know, I can't control that. But if it's within my control, I would not want to do that. But I would say it's very admirable, right? Because you are held to a higher standard, I believe. And you have a lot of weight on your shoulders to like take certain things to God, to pray, and like, because we don't know all of the answers as humans. And so it's like a really, really, it's a calling. I feel that I don't have personally. So I didn't want to do that. It's also funny, though, that you asked why not social work or something in that industry. And I would say if I didn't go into law, I would have been a family counselor. And funny story, very true story. My LSAT score sucked. That's the test you have to take to get into law school. I had very good grades, but my LSAT score sucked, even with tutoring. And I didn't get into the school I wanted to, which was University of Miami, my alma mater. Go Canes. I went there for undergrad, but I wasn't accepted for law school. And I was like, okay, what am I going to do? Right. I didn't know where I was going to go. So I had also applied to Nova for their marriage and family counseling. I was going to get my master's and PhD in that. But I also, thanks to my mom, got an acceptance letter to law school around the same time. My mom knew my passion and knew my heart, and she had actually applied to law school for me. So don't know if I'm supposed to be saying that, but so that's what happened. I ended up going to Cooley Law School in Lansing, Michigan. And honestly, I ended up going the legal route because I felt that I could take it a step further and not only help families, but be able to empower them. And I'll give you a story. Actually, this morning, I had a hearing online. It was on Zoom. Nowadays, a lot of hearings are on Zoom if it's 5 minutes or less. And to a lot of people, it could be something simple. But to this particular individual, it was really, really important. And at the end of the hearing, when the judge, indicated you did an excellent job, Attorney Goss, with your colloquy and everything that you had, and hearing the client saying, thank you. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. That to me is why I went into family law and doing what I'm doing. Because like I said, being empathetic or sympathetic to family situations is one thing, but also having the power and empowering them to take a different direction in life is something that I wanted to do, to have that extra, I guess, being an advocate for families.
Yeah. That's incredible. I mean, that you've taken away your family's lineage and your mom and dad's legacy in using it in such a powerful way. Doing what you do is heavy work. There's a lot of emotion to it. How do you do that and manage being a business owner? Because I think it's really important to identify that. And from what I hear from law firm owners, if they've been in business for more than a day, that realization really starts to hit you of, oh man, I'm a great lawyer, but I've never learned how to run a business. And that's a whole nother monster. How do you How do you be the sympathetic leader, lawyer, run a business, mom of 3, wife, volunteer? How do you do it all?
I think it's a work in progress for sure. And even though my coach has said, stop saying it, I will say it on here because I think it's so true. My life is a chaotic organization. And I think being okay with things not being perfect is key and important. And I think that military background that I was kind of raised in, my mom wasn't in the military when I was born, but she still had that kind of regimen to her. And I think I incorporated that. And it's about setting boundaries, clear boundaries. I think it's about really blocking out time. So between this time and this time, I'm going to be focusing on this. Being very strategic is also something important. And that changes. Being also adaptable and flexible, because we can always have a plan. And this is what I really had to learn. Having a plan, but also being flexible and okay when things don't go just as planned. And so I think that's the best way I could describe it. There have been times where my oldest, she's 13, she said, Mommy, you work all the time, and so even kind of listening to those things from people on the outside looking in, like, maybe she has a point. Maybe I need to take a step back here and there. Scheduling time, whether it's date night with the hubby or vacation times, sharing with you earlier that we're going to be taking a vacation as a family, and being intentional and investing time in the things that are important to you, I think is the best way to put it.
You mentioned the word strategic or strategy earlier. I know just from, again, being an understanding and getting to know about your business and just learning you as a person, I understand you also have goals. You're wanting to grow your firm, and how a struggle in my own life of how do you be strategic in wanting to grow, but then recognizing, but maybe just in this season of my life, not growing to the full extent I have for my law firm or my agency, just knowing right now is it takes strategy right now. Maybe in this season, I'm not trying to grow as much as I can, but you're trying to grow as much as I am allowed within this time frame of my life. How are you strategic about the growth of your firm, but then maintaining work-life balance? How do you do that?
So I think looking at the big picture, I'm a big picture person, but also honing in and having someone that would hold you accountable. For me, it's my coach. And so being able to listen and take direction, I think, is important, because we don't have all the answers. And knowing, okay, this is the overall goal, but maybe step A, I can only accomplish X. And then once X is accomplished, then I'll go to step B. So what I've found for me personally is, because I do see things as like whole, to have someone to hold me accountable for those little A, B, C, and like not focusing on anything else until I've accomplished A, and then I can move on to B. So I think having a goal of this is the ultimate is good, but in order to get to the ultimate, you have to start somewhere, and you have to focus and kind of be laser focused on, okay, in order to get to that, I have to do A, B, C in moving forward. So that's what I've been trying to do, especially in 2025, because like you said, my goal is to grow, but we want to take bite-sized, reasonable steps so that you don't get overwhelmed. I don't want to get overwhelmed, because burnout, that's something that is huge, and it's a thing. In any industry, I could speak from the attorney's perspective, and you definitely don't want to be in a position where you're burning yourself out, where you're working all the time, because that can cause all kinds of issues, whether it's mental, physical, and I want to be here and I want to be able to enjoy my life, being an attorney, but also being a wife and being a mother and being a CEO of a nonprofit and having all of the things. But you're right. It just depends, like, what can I accomplish today? And what needs to kind of be placed on the back burner, and I'll get to that in another time.
Yeah. I think of it as in think in decades, plan daily. Right. So I'm always thinking of this high level goal that I have for my agency, my marriage, our finances, my health. But that gets overwhelming to me. And I'm sure I wasn't smart enough to come up with this. I can't remember who might have told me that, but think in decades, plan in days or weeks. What can I accomplish this week? And then if you do enough of those, it'll get you to the goal. My calendar is intentional days create a life on purpose is the little quote I have here.
I love it.
Because I just get I overwhelm myself with, but I want an agency that's this percent profitable, and this is my AGI, and this is our percent per employee, and like all of these KPIs. It's like, slow down. What can you do today that's going to influence that? And, talking about burnout, I was just having this conversation recently with my SEO manager of, what is the difference in burnout or I'm just tired. I'm really in a season and that season just maybe this month or this quarter of just tired. And it's understanding. And I don't think there's a good definition for it, but for me, burnout is there is no passion for the future. That's when I know I've reached, like, I don't wake up with that excitement that I have most days. Most days I wake up just really ready to kill it. And I love what I do and I love the life that I've built. And that's when I know I've reached too much burnout, right? Is I just don't have that passion anymore.
Yeah, that's true. And you can't be productive that way. Yeah. You're not good to yourself and you're not good for others and people can pick up on it. Like, I'm a huge energy person. I think people can pick up on whether or not you're really doing something because you're passionate or you're doing something just to be doing it. And I don't think anybody, if we wanted to be honest with ourselves, very few people want to just be doing something just to be doing it.
Talk to me about, let's go back to the growth conversation. What are you wanting to achieve? Where are you wanting to go in the growth category? Maybe as it just relates to your law firm, because you mentioned nonprofit. You mentioned, again, if you're reading anything about Kristen on her website or you're looking online, you do have your tentacles in many areas. What does the growth look like, ultimate growth for your law firm?
Great question. So definitely I'm on track. One of them was hiring an intake specialist, which I have done within the last month, and that's going well. We're still in the onboarding phase. Eventually, by the end of the year, I want to have another attorney on board to assist with the family law, more so going to court, because I want to transition out of that and focus on the strategy, consulting, mediation, more collaborative type of matters. And eventually I want to have my business run and my firm run as a business without me really being in the day-to-day, because my ultimate goal, that community mindset, what I was raised with and helping out in the community, would be to focus my time more so on my nonprofit. So right now, talking about, like, we got to take one step at a time. I've had my nonprofit since 2004. It's called Kids Demonstrating Worth Incorporated, and we mentor children in foster youth. And that's actually thank you to my mother, Martha Walker. May she rest in peace. She was really instrumental in helping me with that. But has to take a hiatus right now because I'm focusing on building my firm. So once that's built to the level where I feel comfortable of stepping away and not being in the day to day, my ultimate goal is to be immersed in the nonprofit in that business and being really active in the community and helping children who may not have a good start, but it doesn't dictate where they're going to go.
So this is a marketing podcast for law firms. So I would not be doing myself justice if I did not ask, how have you grown in terms of marketing? What's worked? What hasn't worked? Maybe what have you done for marketing that's gotten you this far? And then what do you plan on doing for marketing or growth? Just marketing is just equals growth. What do you plan on doing for growth outside of hiring people to get to that ultimate goal? What do you think that roadmap looks like?
It's a great question. You had these tough questions for me. Like, thinking, okay. So marketing, what have I done in the past that hasn't worked? I would say is not being strategic, because, and this is for any business owner regardless, but speaking from an attorney's perspective, I could say I do family law, but what does that really mean? What is my passion? What is it that I really want to attract? Who are my ideal clients? And so becoming more specific and identifying who it is that I really, really gravitate to in my ideal clients. And from there, developing a strategy of how can I attract them? Where do they hang out at? What kind of language should I be including in content? Where do they live? What are the things that are concerning to them that they would be fearful of? Or what are the things that bring them joy? So really honing in and understanding not only who I want to help, but how can I help them? It has been something that I have changed, especially for 2025. And I could see that it's still a work in progress, but I think that starting from that perspective and having like a really clear, specific strategy is something that would be helpful for marketing.
Yeah. And tell me if I'm wrong, but what it sounds like is what you're saying is you really set time to identify what is that client avatar, who's your ideal client, what do they make, where do they live, what are their interests, what are their hobbies, where do they drive. The more specific you can get about that, and then build everything around that. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. We talk to our clients about this. I mean, I would say almost daily, because the questions, understandably so, but the questions we field that I find ourselves fielding often is, should I be on TikTok? Should we be doing local service ads? Do I need a second website for this? Do I need a landing page for this? Are we doing paid ads? And the answer is maybe. Who is your client avatar? Right. And if you're a client of us, we've kind of worked through that, or we've had those conversations, because if your client avatar is not hanging out on that platform, you're just wasting time. Right. Well, I would be wasting my time doing this podcast if I didn't know that other law firm owners are listening to interviews with other law firm owners. Right. And then it exposes me to those law firms. Same for you. So that's a great way for anyone listening of what is a marketing strategy? What's that? The nucleus is who are your clients, and then just do anything that would attract them. The questions of, should I sponsor the local little league team in my neighborhood? Maybe, is it going to be of benefit to have your name on their jerseys? Maybe. Do you need to defer some taxes? Sure. Then you probably need to talk to your CPA, and that might be, so maybe it's not a marketing tactic, it's a tax strategy. But everything should be around the nucleus of who is your client? Are they hanging out there? Is it going to get you exposed to them? Let's go to, I know you're doing a podcast yourself, Kristen. Why did you decide to do a podcast? Was it a marketing effort? Was it a giving back effort? Was it a little bit of both? What led you to that thought?
Absolutely. Thank you for that. I think It was a bit of both. So my podcast is Civility Wins the Family Law Edition. And the way that I see my uniqueness and how I add value to families is regardless of whatever trauma that they're going through from the family perspective, civility always wins in the long run. And we only have control over our own selves. But I really started the podcast to promote awareness around collaborative law, what it is. It's not an adjective. It's not a whole bunch of professionals sitting around holding hands, singing Kumbaya. It is an actual statute that was passed in Florida in 2017. And so it was really to provide education and awareness to the public around what collaborative law really is as an alternative to, or an option to proceed in a different way, whether you're going through a divorce, you have a paternity situation, or you're seeking a modification of alimony, time sharing, or child support. This is another option in addition to mediation, litigation, proceeding uncontested. And so it was really to promote awareness to the public about what collaborative law is. And also, another service that KWG offers is specific to estate planning, just wills, trusts, remaining proactive to avoid guardianship and probate. I experienced both when my father passed prior to his passing, we went through guardianship. And then once he passed in 2014, I went through 2 years of probate litigation. And so it's personal to me to ensure that families become more proactive when it comes to ensuring that they are taking care of themselves, number one, but also taking care of those that they love most. That's very important to me.
What are the next steps? What are your next goals that you have for your firm?
The next goals, again, would be to eventually have another attorney who is going to take on more so the court structured family cases. And regardless, this is something I definitely want to put out there. Even though a lot of my cases are litigated, collaborative is still up and coming. Not a lot of people know about it. So a lot of my cases are in court. But regardless of court or not, the method of how KWG handles things is we're very resolution focused. So even in a litigated setting, I would want to hire someone who has those same values, which would be mutual respect, communication, customer service. Those are the top three. And someone who's not afraid to go to court, but does it with professionalism, does it with civility, and is really sympathetic towards the family and not fueling the flames. So that's definitely one of my shorter term goals in the next steps, I would say, before the year ends.
Well, here's what we need to put on the calendar, Kristen. If you'll join me again, and we're going to interview Kristen again when she has, in fact, set up that structure in the firm, and you can tell folks exactly how you've gotten there. You are well on your way. And I can't wait to talk to you in a couple years, and you've established many associates under you. You're spending more time in your nonprofit, and you can tell us how you've gotten there, what's worked and what hasn't worked. So thank you for joining me today. It's so great talking to you. I really appreciate your time.
Thank you, Ashley. I appreciate your time too. It's great.